story. How did you...
Well, everything started since I was very young, that I have this calling for nature. And I was assisting into the scouts. And in that journey, we always have kind of ceremonies, initiations and ceremonies. And this is where my connection with the fire, with the Great Spirit started in another level. So my subconscious always looked for that. So when I was growing up, I immediately wanted to go to nature. So I started traveling around Mexico and traveling in places where I discovered the magic plants, like in Palenque with the mushrooms, in the desert with the peyote. And I realized that before I leave school, I wanted to study about plants. This was my passion. I wanted to go and study how to create medicines and all of this. In the end, I never studied, but I discovered the magic plants, and I went into it very deep. I was doing mushrooms, and I was doing peyote a lot, going from the jungle to the desert for many years. Discovering about all these dimensions and possibilities with nature and Mother Earth and the communication there. And then one day, in a very special day, ayahuasca came to me, but I was very afraid. I had a... Tú lo vas a modificar, ¿verdad? I had a terrible experience with mushrooms, so I needed to stop. One day, because these mushrooms of Oaxaca, they are not the same as the mushrooms that we all know. So I have a very terrible experience, and I said, okay, that's it. My journey with psychedelics, it's enough. But then ayahuasca came in a very special way, and I said no. But then it came, and it came, and it came in different signs of the universe and signs of Earth, and so I decided to do it. And in the moment that I connect with her, I recognize her, and I say, "Oh, I've been here before," and I understood this connection with her, and I started observing from myself so deep that I say, "Okay, I really love her." But I didn't plan to study with her. I went traveling to India, and in India I met a community that was working with ayahuasca, and this is where I decided that I wanted to work with her. So I was there for a year working with this shaman in India. He was teaching us and guiding us in different ways, and I didn't understand all the possibilities until I met with a very good friend that introduced me with Santo Daime. And Santo Daime teach me how to stand, not just to receive, but to stand and work with the medicine. Mm-hmm. Not just to be in the journey of self-discovery and discovering the universe, but to truly work with a purpose. So I really like this new way that I discovered with the medicine, and I went into it. For a year I was working with the Santo Daime groups and doing the works that this church is teachings, that is the teachings of connecting through our human earthly being, opening the doors into the celestial connections and celestial understandings. It's like the union. And in that path, I realized I really needed and I wanted to go back to my land, to my roots, to Mexico, and discover the path of the medicine there. And there is a prophecy that has been written many, many years ago about the union of all traditions in America. That is called the Red Path. So I felt in one of the ceremonies with the Santo Daime, I needed to join the Red Path. So after a while, I came back to Mexico and I joined the Red Path. And there I initiate myself doing the Vision Quest and the Sun Dance, the Moon Dance, and all of these traditions. And discovering more about the alliances with medicines, how the medicines work with each other, and how the medicines also open different kind of knowledge depending on the path that you're working with. And for a while I was working with the Red Path, And after a while, I decided I needed a break again. It was a very strong change in my life, a very strong moment where my mind start question if myself I was myself, or not. In these moments of transition, and in that moment, one very good friend invited me to Peru, and I went to Peru and I lived there for 2 years, and I was working in a retreat center with Shipibo shamans. Before that, in Europe, I was traveling with the Santo Daime, but I was also discovering the different traditions of the Brazilian style, because I loved Santo Daime, so I wanted to discover other ways. So I met the Yawanawas and I met the different traditions, and I also start meeting here in Mexico with the Red Path, the Colombian Yaje and the Ecuadorian way. So I went into many traditions, like finding my way, the way that it really complements my heart. But I discovered that all of them, they open different doors. All of them, they work in another level. So there is no one way. It's just different keys for different opportunities. Finally, I finished in Peru working with the Shipibos, and with the Shipibos is where I truly enter deep into my personal journey. And I tried to learn from them, and I was dieting a lot with them and learning from the plants and learning the ways of Mother Earth, and Amazon ways. So I was there for 2 years until one of my master called me and said, "That's enough for you. You need to stop receiving the medicine, and I think it's time for you to share." So he gave me a liter of ayahuasca and said, "This is going to be your initiation. You need to discover your way." So finally, after a while of carrying that medicine, it happened the moment, and little by little, I discovered that all the teachings that I learned were meant to be together. And this is how we create our ceremony, by putting together all the different traditions and all the different teachings and ways that the medicine can be teaching, that the medicine can be showing you different parts of ourselves and different parts of different knowledges. And this is how our ceremony was born. It's mainly held with the Shipibo tradition, but it has a mix of all the other traditions.